Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at the 2 to 4 player game, Dungeon Mayhem. This D&D themed brawling game. Let's go ahead down the table here. I'll give you a general overview of how the game plays, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, so this is going to be Dungeon Mayhem. And Dungeon Mayhem, the card game, you're going to have 4 classes to start with. I believe there's expansions and stuff that'll give you some more, but in the base game you have 4. Each of these is going to have their own asymmetric deck, and they're going to have 2 cards to start, and this is going to be their life tracker. You'll put your little life counter on the topmost part of the track, in this case 10, and this card here gives you the different things that you can do in your deck. So you're going to go ahead and each player is going to select the class they want to be, and they are going to set up their health counter and shuffle their decks. So we'll go ahead and shuffle our decks real quick. Alright, so each player shuffles their decks. Each deck is shuffled. Now once everyone has their deck shuffled and they are ready to go, this plays up to 2 to 4, you're going to draw 3 cards. And the way you're going to win this game is you're going to knock the opponent's health down to 0. Last person standing wins. So on your turn, you started the game with 3 cards. You're going to start your turn by drawing a card. Whoops, draw 2 cards. Draw a card and then play them. If you look at your sheet right here, it'll tell you what your cards do. So in this one, which I ended up with 2 big axes and open armor, so this big axe one here says it deals 1 damage. So I have 3 of them, so that's going to deal 3 damage. So if this is the card that I play, it's going to deal 3 damage to the opponent. If I play 2 axes are better than 1, I can play an extra card this turn. So since there's 2 symbols here, I can play 2 extra cards this turn. So I could play this and play both of these and immediately do 6 damage to the opponent. This card here says I could draw a card, and since there's 2 symbols, I can draw 2 cards. Other symbols that are very important to run into is, yes, I played this, and I could play 2 of these, I could do 6 damage, but my opponent might have some cards that blocks the damage, and for every symbol they have, it blocks the damage. Also, other things to watch out for is on player's turn, they can play this card, plus health, which recovers 1 hit point. And here are the mighty powers that this specific hero has. And this one here is, you may heal once per opponent, then deal 1 damage each opponent. Each player, including you, so this is like a vampiric thing actually, each player including you discards their hand and draws 3 cards. So if I had no hand and that was my last card in my hand, that would be really cool to play. This one here destroys 1 defense capability of a card. So each of these is going to have different, each of these heroes are going to have different mighty abilities down here that they can do. Like this is destroy 1 shield card in play, steal the top card of any player's deck and play it, and none of your opponent cards affect you on your shield card until your next turn. So that's pretty cool too. There's, like I said, there's 2 more decks that come with the base game. So you have your cleric, and this is the knight, I think. And this one has 2 big mighty abilities. Choose any card in your discard pile and put it in your hand. Destroy all shield cards in play, including yours. That's pretty cool. You can do some damage in there. And this one here has 3 each. Player, including you, takes 3 damage. That's really good for a finishing move if you need to do it. Take the shield card that an opponent has in play, and it protects you now instead. Swap your hit points with another player. This is really cool. There's a lot of like swingy stuff each of these decks have. They're very asymmetric, and basically the essence is every turn you're just drawing a card, you're playing a card. If you completely run out of cards in the game at any point, you will just draw up 3 cards. So there's an advantage to trying to get through your cards and get that bonus for drawing cards. A lot in this game. It's going to be more in learning how these decks work and learning how your opponent's decks work. But that's the gist of how to play Dungeon Mayhem. Let's go ahead back up to the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this game is fine. It's a fine little card combat game. Each deck I like is asymmetric. It doesn't take very long to play. If you like the D&D theme, you're going to love probably this game. Component quality is a little low in this game, but it doesn't cost very much, so that comes into a factor a little bit, but I don't feel that the cards are going to last very long, so if you do get this game and you really like it, I would highly recommend probably sleeving it. And I know that there's expansions out here for this game that add more of the different classes. So if you like that game, you're going to probably want to pick those up too. It's a cool when you get those combos, or not really 100% combos, but when you get those little combos fire off, it's it's satisfying and a lot of fun. Game overall is really nice. It's a really good filler game. So if you're at the end of your D&D session, you could play it, or if you're waiting for one to start, you can bust it out and play it. Or if you're just waiting between board games or whatever, you could play this. It's a nice game. I would consider it a filler game, and it's pretty inexpensive, so there's very little barrier to just giving this game a play or picking it up. So that's my thoughts on Dungeon Mayhem. Thank you for watching.